All right, hopefully this works. Um, counting down, counting around 24 minutes. Hmm. Oh, hallelujah. Okay, I am being seen and heard. Yay! Okay, so that link that I sent is live. Go ahead and put that out there. I am so sorry for the delay and the technical difficulties, but hopefully you guys will be patient. We can carry on and get this done. So that link should be good to go, Kari. That's the one you'll want to share. And I'm going to share it real quick to Sarah as well so that she can help out with spreading the word and we'll get this thing rolling. Done. Good. All right. Awesome. Okay. As with all things, when you are trying to improve yourself, there will be obstacles in the way. There will be things that set you back, and you've got to just press on and get them done and push forward. So I appreciate so much your patience while we figured out our technical difficulties here. But I see that you guys are all popping back on here, and I am grateful for that, and I'm excited. You can now hear me instead of just trying to read my lips and figure out what I was talking about. And so I'm excited to get this thing rolling. I'm going to dive right in so I don't waste more of your evening. We're gonna get started here. So I'm gonna share my screen. Give me just a second to get a couple things ironed out here, and we should be good to go. Okay. All right. So hopefully this is sharing properly, and I'm gonna keep an eye on my phone real fast. And if somebody can, either Sarah or Kari, if you guys can just send me a message real quick, just to let me know if you can see the screen and if it is showing the slide presentation, everything looks good. All right, good deal. So we're going to keep going through this. All right, so we're going to talk about the four personality colors tonight, and I'm going to help you have a better understanding of your fellow man and women around you. I'm anxious to be able to share this with you. I've done this several times. I actually got the privilege of presenting last year at convention in Dallas, Texas, at the Young Living Convention. That was absolutely awesome, and it's a passion of mine. So this is me. This is my family, the Adamo family. We've got six currently, and Sarah is due in about a month with number seven. Um, we we absolutely love children. We love living life together. That's one of the passions that I had with coming home and being able to be a part of that. Um, I hated leaving every single day and leaving them for hours and hours and not being a part of their life. So that was a big deal for me, was to be able to get home. That's one of the things that Young Living has helped us achieve that we're so grateful for. So that's a little brief introduction. I have worked in sales most of my life. In one form or another. And I noticed that, and I've done everything from like door-to-door sales during college to, to selling remodeling projects and stuff like that. So I've done a lot of interaction with people. And I attribute most of my knowledge when it comes to personalities to that experience and to the work that I did. So I'm going to give you a brief background. My time during college with door-to-door sales taught me one thing, that you could deliver the same exact information in the same exact way to different people and have them respond completely differently. And I sat there and I decided at that point in time that this was worth studying. People were worth studying. So I went on to look into this, and it wasn't until, like, I've always been a student of people, but it wasn't until Sarah had her business in Young Living. I was working um, as a service advisor at a Ford dealership, and I realized that this knowledge is universal, and people need this if they're going to build their business, if they're going to build their relationships. And so I started looking into it, and there was a lot of things on identifying a person's personality type. We all see on Facebook, there's all these tests out there, and that's great being able to identify them. But what happens beyond that? We have to actually take that from just identifying to a point where we can actually improve our communication with the individuals around us. So that's what I endeavored to do. That was my passion. Was I love communication. I love communicating with people and making sure that I understand them, they understand me, we're on the same page. And so I turned that passion into something that I could focus on with the personality colors. So this is a screen. Where can you find me? This is me. That's my website. You can find the Facebook group Full Spectrum Success online, and go ahead and get plugged in there. There's a ton of people for the past 2 years that I've been doing this. We have added hundreds and hundreds of people in there, and there's a lot of people that are very skilled and that have learned. And if you have questions, don't feel that you have to wait for me to respond. Go plug yourself into these groups. There's a lot of very learned people there that can help you resolve things. Maybe they share your color. Maybe they share the color of the person you're trying to help, and they can help you see it from a different perspective. So there's my Twitter and Periscope handles as well as Instagram. So we're going to talk about these four colors. The colors represent each of the four basic personality types. There are a myriad of tests out there, and even the Myers-Briggs, it's like the 16 personality types, and it's very helpful. What this is meant to do with four is help you identify very quickly the personality type of the person you're speaking to, and my hope is that when you're done, you'll understand how to alter your communication to get the most effectiveness from them. Okay, I just was informed that it doesn't look like they're seeing slides change. When was that? Okay, okay, okay. All right, can somebody confirm that they can see the screen as it is now? They can see my slide, and it should say what are the colors. If somebody could go ahead and confirm that for me, then we'll just keep rolling right along, and you guys will have to put up with the back end of PowerPoint. Okay, Kari's typing. Give me a couple seconds. Not showing the slides. Okay, all right. That is interesting because you should be. Hmm. Okay. I know you guys don't want to be looking at me this whole time. You want to be seeing the slides because that's where the learning comes in. So give me a second here. Okay, hold on. New tech, man. You got to always be learning, right? Okay. I hope that what I just clicked on, you guys should now be seeing my screen. So I'm going to try this again, and I want to see if you guys can see this now. Okay, doesn't look like it's updating. That's very strange. Okay. It's stuck on the first one. Yeah, all you guys can see is the first one, and it's not allowing me to advance through them, but it does say that it's screen sharing. Oh, it's always a learning curve. Okay, I'm going to try screen sharing again. I think you guys are probably seeing me at this point once it updates. Okay, so let's share this and see if we are good to go. You guys are absolutely the best, most patient people because I can see that there's still plenty of you on here. Okay, so you can now see the slide I was talking about with my contact information. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go forward and see if it advances slides the way it's supposed to. Let's look at what are the four colors and see if that one comes up. And I'm wondering if maybe we're just experiencing a bit of a delay. If I can figure about how long that is, I think, okay, you guys can now see. Alrighty. Okay. So what we're experiencing is a little bit of a technical delay. So bear with me because what I'm talking about and what you're viewing might not necessarily match up exactly. But I think we can still get the gist of it, and I think we can still make this very productive for you. So we're going to talk about the four colors, which as you can see are red, blue, green, and yellow. And this is not meant to put anyone in a box. What this is meant to do is kind of enlighten you and open your mind to the fact that, we're all different, but if we and I don't know how many times I've heard it said, and I'm sure you guys have heard it said too, when you guys were kids. You guys have all heard, look at it from somebody else's perspective. That's not always the easiest thing to do. So what we're going to explore tonight is how to look at it from someone else's perspective. We're going to look at the different perspectives, the basic perspectives, and the difference in personality types and what they mean. And I'm going to take you through each of these four colors. And with each of these four colors, we're going to look at three different shades of each of these colors. That shade has to do with how functional they are within their personality. So you're going to see dysfunction, you're going to see typical, which is average, and then you're going to see highly functioning, which I call a true blue, a true red, a true green, that those people that are exhibiting the trueness of their color. And we're going to walk you through that. So hopefully we're done with technical difficulties. Let's go ahead and get moving along. I'm going to give this a couple seconds to update so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. But we're going to start with red, and we're going to look at red's troublesome shade first. It's going smoothly? Okay, sweet. All right, moving on. So the troublesome red, they tend to exhibit extreme insecurity, lean towards sociopathic behavior, making up their own morals as they go to fit their situation. And I'm going to close out Facebook on the computer because I have a feeling you guys are probably able to hear that, and that's going to be distracting. So we're going to close that out. We're going to get back to this. All right. So these guys, they tend to make up their own morals as they go. Whatever fits the situation that they're in, they tend to be egocentric. And I want you guys to remember, this is troublesome, okay? There's going to be three shades to each and every one of these four colors. Egocentric behavior is common, and verbal abuse is present and ready and at the ready if others don't fulfill their sense of entitlement. Troublesome reds are very forceful. They push real hard. They know exactly what they want. Kari said it's okay on her end. So, okay. She just said I can see red. You're good. So I'm gonna go with that. Okay, moving on. All right. So typical red. These guys are confident. They love challenges, like any red does. They're driven by a strong desire to win, and they consider themselves among a society's elite. Overachievement and quick decision-making skills help keep them in the limelight, garnering praise from those around them, which is right where they love to be. They like attention. They like to focus on achievement and everything else. What's up? On yours, it is. Okay. All right. So apparently, switching slides is not working well um, for this. So, hmm. Give me a second. We will try this. This is pretty amazing. I have actually never had this much technical difficulty doing one of these things before. So, you guys are obviously very special, and this is definitely needed because we are definitely hitting some uh, opportunities to grow, not obstacles, opportunities to grow. So let's try this again. Give me a second here. Okay. I'm not sure why it stops updating. It's like it does it for a few slides and then it, it bugs out. Okay. So you should see red at a glance, typical shade. So these are your typical reds. They're very driven. They want success. They are willing to push as hard as need be to get their goals, to get what they're after. What we're going to look at is a true red next. The true shade. Now, these guys are going to be ethical winners. They have their strength under control, they have their ego under control. They don't need the approval of others. Their self image is established in their victories, in what they can accomplish, and they're happy with that, and they're totally secure in that. So it helps them move toward their goals, but keeps in their awareness the needs of those around them. So they still love the attention of victory. Of course, every red loves that, but they're sure to acknowledge those around them before just reaping their own glory. They understand it takes people to make things work, and it's not all about them. I'm going to advance to the next slide here, and we're going to talk about blues. And we'll start with the troublesome shade. And if something acts up on this, we may look for a different technological way to deliver this. Awesome. It's working currently. So troublesome blues. These guys tend to act without thought of consequence because blues, in their opinion, they're the most important person that they know. They're terrible about not being on time, following through with their promises because they live for the moment. They live for what they can get out of this instant right now. They have an insatiable desire to please themselves and to find meaning in what they're doing. So that makes them kind of unreliable and forgetful. They'll make appointments and they might not stick to it because something else came up that was more important to them. And that's your troublesome shade. Your typical blue is going to be spontaneous and fun. You're looking at a person that can bring a bright spot to any occasion. They love adventure. They usually have a very good sense of humor. They, I mean, they can even handle the sarcasm of reds and greens, and still, have that banter ready to go. But be careful making them the center of attention, because time is still just not as important to them as what they're doing in the moment. So they still tend toward, looking for that self satisfaction first before they move forward. And I'm going to advance the slides here, and hopefully they keep advancing for you guys. Let me know if something happens. We're going to talk about a true blue. A true blue is very mindful of others' time, considers the consequences of their action before they act, and their love of fun and their energetic behavior is inspiring to those around them when augmented with their focus to stay on track with their goals and desires. When you find a true blue, they will engage something at the drop of a hat. I mean, they are ready to go, but they also are mindful of the time and effort that it's going to take to accomplish it, and the efforts of those around them. It's not just about them. And I have the privilege of knowing several different very true blues, and they're a joy. They absolutely light up the room, and they do a phenomenal job of bringing that energy to the rest of the people involved. So let's take a look at green. And I know I'm kind of going through these quickly, but I realize that our tech issues have probably already wasted some of your time, so I'm trying to make the most of the time that I have with you guys. So troublesome green. Troublesome greens suffer from what I like to call analysis paralysis. They tend to overanalyze things to the point of being unable to take the first step. And unless they can see the end of the path, they have a hard time engaging and moving forward with a plan, because the plan in their mind is incomplete, because they can't see the outcome. They can't see the end. They don't accept things on faith. They're very unforgiving, skeptical, and expect perfection from everybody around them. And this is troublesome, keep in mind, but a lot of them expect perfection in every aspect of life around them without demanding it of themselves. There's always a reason or an excuse that they can come up with why they don't need to make the change someone else does. They have an inner need to win every argument, primarily because they're highly logical individuals. They spend a lot of time thinking about their their topic of interest that they're talking to you about. So in their mind, they spent that much time, they better be an expert, and you better respect the expert. Your typical greens are, again, highly analytical. That part does not change. They're thinkers, they're problem solvers, but need to follow a detailed plan still in order to function. They like to make well-informed decisions with careful consideration. They don't like traps. They don't like surprises. They're practical realists. They prefer fact over opinion, and they do pursue perfection, again, in themselves and others. And they do their best to remain emotionally detached. Emotion actually acts as a repellent to greens in many cases. Their true shade. These greens love a well thought out plan, like any green does, but they don't let the absence of one prevent them from moving forward in life. They know that just because I can't see the fifth step doesn't mean that I can't take the first one. So their ability to get to the bottom of a situation makes them a valuable friend, very, very, very loyal companion, especially when combined with their ability to empathize and help form a solution. Their strength is in the ability to stand firm on principle in the face of any opposition. When a green has made a decision, it's because they have thought about all the angles. They have looked at all the aspects that need to be looked at, and they've made their decision. They decided this is where they're standing. And a true green especially is going to be rigid, but but they're going to understand that they made that decision looking for the best interest of others. And you're going to see a common theme throughout this. If you look at the path, I like to say the path from troublesome to true lies on a road called selflessness. You have strengths, no matter your color. You have abilities given to you by God. You have strengths in your character and in your personality. And the more that you use those strengths and leverage those strengths for the benefit of those around you or under your care, the truer you will be to your color. So let's look at yellows here. Let's look at a troublesome yellow. Troublesome yellows, yeah, it can be ugly. They're emotionally insecure. They avoid conflict at any cost. They don't want to have that argument. They don't want to have that discussion. Even if the results would be better when they're done, they don't want it. And they bottle everything up. They shove it down. They hang on to it. And when it finally does get released, it's kind of an explosion of anger and bitterness. It comes out really big, it almost to the degree of a red, what you would expect from a red personality. They can also tend to be gullible, worrisome, indecisive to a fault, and lack overall motivation. Now, the typical yellow you're going to find, these people are friendly, they're loyal, they're honest, they thrive on team activities and outdoor stuff. I like to call them the mortar to a team. They hold the bricks together. They keep the structure in place because they hold on to everybody. They're people. They're not turned on by materialism. They don't care about stuff. They prefer a simpler life. They don't mind having nice things, but it's not about the things. It's about the people. They do tend to avoid conflict whenever possible in favor of remaining personable with people. Now, your true yellow, these people know how to express their emotions and opinions in a way that remains friendly and empathetic without being overly sympathetic. They don't want to step into the muck with you. They want you to know that they realize that you're going through it and they're there for you and they're there to help pull you out when you're ready to be pulled out. True yellows are also capable of tough love. This is a difficult one for yellows because they don't want somebody to experience hurt. And in their world, if they can just get through to you, they can stop you from experiencing hurt. But a true yellow will understand that sometimes, people are going to make the decision you don't want them to, and you've got to be there and ready to love them when they get out of it. Love them enough to let them make mistakes. So they also understand criticism is understood to be a part of life, and they don't take it personally. They're the ultimate team members. They are team players, they're supporters, they're natural peacemakers. That's what they want. So, in looking at these different types, what I realized is that it's not just enough to be able to identify the color of somebody. We got to go past that. We need to be able to communicate with each other at a higher level. When you know that people are different, you know that their personalities are different, there's got to be a way to mesh communication so that you can get across what you need to in a manner that will be understood by them. And most of our conflicts in life happen because of miscommunication. So I set out to kind of figure out a better way of communicating between the different personality colors, different personality types. So hopefully you guys can see the master key questions slide. We're on that now. Each color has a master key question that their mind filters everything through. And it's just what dawned on me is as I was talking about these personality types with Sarah, a lot of our communication, like we go on little mini dates. We usually like feed the kids their dinner because we have 6 children and one on the way. So we feed the kids dinner, visit with them, and everything else. And then after they're in bed, I usually make a little secondary dinner for the two of us, and we have little mini dates as often as possible because getting out with 6 kids is not as easy as you think. So one of the things that we started talking about was personalities, and it dawned on me that there was a different master key question for each one of the colors. And I was raised to always look at any particular problem or situation and answer the main questions. You know, we're all taught them: what, why, when, where, who, how. So it dawned on me that there is a different filter for each one of these colors, and communication being the most effective when people understand the other person, that led me to follow this out and to learn how to form your speech to match the color of the other person. So I think this is about the truest form of seeing it from the other person's perspective that you can really get. And obviously, it's learned, it is trained, it's something you're going to work at to improve, but the results speak for themselves with your communication, and you'll see the differences. I have so many testimonials from people who have better marriages and who have better relationships with their team now that they've understood these. So I'm going to walk you through 4 phrases really briefly, and then I want to show you how those 4 phrases correlate to the master key questions and a little bit of a shift in thinking. So this is your first one. I'm most satisfied when I'm in control of decision making because whatever the outcome, I know that I will do my best. Second phrase, I believe there should be a compelling reason to do anything in life, and life is too short for regrets. And by the way, don't despair if it's not updating on the video just quite yet, because I'm going to let it sit on another slide that will have all 4 of the questions so that you can grab a screen capture if you want that, okay? So don't worry about that. Third phrase, I have determined that careful consideration and an understanding of the facts are necessary before making a decision. And our fourth phrase, I want to be sure that I consider others first in my decisions and hope to bring unity and peace through my actions. You guys will probably pretty easily recognize the different colors that are in these 4 phrases. And I'm going to leave this up for a couple minutes. It's showing red at a glance. Okay. Hey, if we got to do this a few times, that is okay by me. So I see that we're on red at a glance, typical shade. Hey guys, you get to look at me for just a second because I need this thing to reboot so that you guys can actually see this. And I'm sorry because red at a glance was the first one. I might just end up sharing the slides at the end of this, or figuring out a way to get you guys the information. But we're going to go ahead and try and share this again and get this to update. It seems to make it for a certain amount of time. So hopefully now you're looking at the 4 phrase test, and you should see the 4 different phrases that I just talked about. So I want you to be able to take a good look at those, and then we're going to dive into the master key questions. So at any point, if things freeze and you see me talking about stuff that is not showing up, let me know. We'll renew this and get back into it because I want you guys to be able to see the slides. So hopefully we can get a switch here, and we should be switching to red. We're going to talk about red. Your red personality type, their master key question is what? These people are highly goal and results oriented. So they want to know, what do I get out of it? What does it take to get it? What can you offer and what is it worth to me? So when dealing with reds, focus on what they do right and what they're good at, because that is their strength. That's their skill set. They're going to be outward, they're going to be focused, they're going to be forceful. Give them a task and let them run. Play to their strengths and praise their achievements. That's what they live for. Um, Enable their independence. Reds and greens, especially, they need lots of elbow room to grow. So it looks like we still have no switcheroo here on the screen. Give me a second. We will see if we can correct that. Hey, and there we go. That should update. So, okay, let's keep talking though. So, reds. Let's talk about a true red, and hopefully the slide will shift. The determining factor for a true red to remember is that their strength should never be leveraged against others, but rather applied to bolster others as they journey alongside them. Reds have amazing horsepower. They have the ability to drive forward when other people would look at it and say, ain't no way, we're not going to make it. And they say, yeah, we will. And other people say, how are we going to make it? They don't really care about that how. They're just going to do it. It's going to work. One way or another, they will muscle through. That's that true red though has to understand that that horsepower and that strength that they have that they've been given needs to be leveraged to help others alongside them along the journey, not just, you don't use that brutal strength just to get your own way. You don't use it against other people. You use it to help other people muscle through and win as often as possible. And again, this brings us back to that understanding that selflessness is going to raise your ability to be the true version of your color. So we will switch to blue. And wow, that did something very fun. Okay, so we're on blue. Hopefully I can get this to switch so that you guys can see blue. For blues, their master key question is why. Fun equals fulfillment to these folks. So this color, they've got to have a reason to do anything. Why should I pay attention to this? Why do I need this? Why do you love it? Why make this change? I like to joke that, when I'm speaking to a crowd of people and I see somebody start to draw Shaun the Sheep or Snoopy, I know I'm dealing with a blue and they're bored. I've got to bring it back around and make it exciting enough for them to want to invest their time in what I'm providing. They've got to have a why. They've got to understand why they're investing this time. For blues, consequences do not determine actions. If they've got to pay for tomorrow or pay tomorrow for today, blues will usually do it anyway. They're okay with that in a lot of cases. So keep the focus on the excitement and the possibilities and being optimistic. Optimism is the key to success. Don't get hung up on too many details because blues bore easily. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the way they're wired. If what they're seeing is not keeping them interested enough, they will go mentally and sometimes physically. So a true blue, and I'm trying to keep an eye on this to see if it is switching for you guys. So bear with me if this is this is definitely more disjointed than it usually is, but I want you guys to be able to see this. A true blue, the determining factor for a true blue to remember is to focus their drive for fun on helping others enjoy life as much as they do. They have a great appreciation of fun and entertainment and life in general. And when they can bring that level of energy to the group of people around them or to their team under them, they produce incredible results. So let's look at green. I'm sorry this is taking a little longer, but I am hoping you guys are getting some good stuff out of this. Okay, green. Green is system driven, they're fact oriented, their master key question is how. And I'm pretty sure you guys probably could figure that one out. Greens love to know how it's going to work. How do they benefit from it? How good are the reviews of the product or company? I'm sure quite a lot of you listening probably shop on Amazon. I know I do because I live out in the boondocks. So for me, it's easier to have Amazon Prime than to go to the store. So if you're ever online on Amazon and you're looking for something, if you're like me, and I'm sure that most of you are, you're looking for a specific type of review. And it's not the one that gives it 5 stars and says works great, or the one that says, looks good. It's the one who takes the time with the details. It's the person who said, right down to the packaging, everything was as advertised. Battery life is exactly what I expected. I did find that, this might have been different or that might have been different. And you sit there and you read through that paragraph of information, and you're like, oh my gosh, this person knows how to write a review. That person is probably a green because they love to break everything down um, to fact. They want just the facts, not the feelings. So when you're dealing with a green, you want to keep things detail and research oriented. Emphasize third-party resources for continued study. Give them as much information and resources as you can because they're going to absolutely absorb that, and it's going to lend credibility to what you're trying to talk to them about. And encourage action. Even if the plan's not perfect, get them started down the path. So offer constant educational options and insights. That is very, very important. So we're going to look at being a true green. And if Google will cooperate with me here, I'm going to update this so you guys can see the true green slide. So the determining factor for a true green, to remember, is to engage in action despite an imperfect plan and develop the ability to work with and through those around you without trying to recreate them. That's the most difficult thing with a lot of greens. They can see a better thing and a better way. Um, and a lot of times they see the way that you can be a better person. But you have to realize that not everybody wants your help. Not everybody is going to accept your help. So even though it might be imperfect, is it time to move and do something? So that is a green. Their master key question, how? That is how they function. Let's look at yellows. Did the yellow slide switch? It it does. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna hope it switches. If it doesn't, I'll work on that. But so let's talk about yellows. Yellow personalities, remember I called them the mortar of the bricks. They hold the whole thing together. They are servant minded, people oriented mentors and helpers. Their master key question is who? Who can I help with this? Who will be there to support me? Who benefits from me doing this? So, team welfare and mindset is critically important to maintaining the engagement of yellows. Focus on positive growth and keep criticism to a minimum because they take it very seriously. So it doesn't you don't have to do much to beat up a yellow. So be very gentle, be careful of that. Focus on positive growth, minimal criticism, allow encouragement to flow openly because that's positive. Positive reinforcement's very important to a yellow personality type. And along with that, the next bullet point on there is be careful not to allow negativity to take hold. That is very important because they are positive. They already have kind of yellows and greens both have kind of a natural pessimism a lot of times. So it's very important not to focus on the negative aspects of something. Focus on the positivity, focus on the encouragement factors, and you'll see them thrive and blossom. All right, I have switched slides. I am on a true yellow. The determining factor for a true yellow to remember is that criticism and rejection should not be taken personally. They're strong enough to love through hurt while allowing consequences to play out. So, if you are a yellow, especially if you are involved in leadership, understand that you have enough in you to love people, let them fail, and still love them back into the flock later on. Love through the hurt, allow the consequences to play out, and be okay with it. And you are strong enough. So let's look at these four phrases that I listed earlier, and we're going to look at the four phrases and how they look when we reword them. So I'm going to read these and hope that the slides catch up for you guys. The recording, by the way, should be much smoother than this is live. So the four phrases. Our first phrase, if you remember back, was I am most satisfied when I'm in control of decision making because whatever the outcome, I know I will do my best. So now I'm going to rephrase that with a master keyword inserted so that you can hear it. I am most satisfied when I am in control of what is going on around me. There's your red. Second one. I believe there should be a compelling reason to do anything in life, and life is too short for regrets. If we reword that one with just minimal effort, we can get I believe there should be a compelling reason for why I do anything in life so that I don't regret it. There's your blue. Here's your third. I have determined that careful consideration and an understanding of the facts are necessary before making a decision. We all know which color that one is. I have determined that careful consideration and an understanding of how things will work is necessary before making a decision. That's your green. I want to be sure that I consider others first in my decisions and hope to bring unity and peace through my actions. We all know which color this one is because there's only one left. I want to be sure to consider who my decisions will affect so that I can bring as much unity and peace through my actions. And we all know that who is yellow. That's their master key. That's what they filter everything through. So we're going to look at some application as we go forward. Understanding ourselves and our color is just the beginning, but it is the right place to start. Because unless you understand yourself, if you make it about understanding others before understanding yourself, you're actually leaning toward manipulation. And none of us want to do that. So understanding yourself does need to be first. But also understand that we are a blend of all four colors. We have some, even if it's small, we have some of all four of these personality types within us. The things that I focus on are primarily your primary and your secondary color because that's usually your proactive and reactive sides going through this. And I'll share more about that at a later time. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to do another one of these with less technical difficulties, and we'll talk about some deeper concepts as you guys learn and develop along with this. But understanding that we all have all four colors helps us also understand the dynamic that our teams have on a deeper level because as you are in network marketing, you're going to experience um, interactions with every one of the colors. So I want to bring this home. Your team will have all four colors, and this is a blessing. This is very important because every red is going to burn out at times, but they're also going to take on a challenge that the other three colors look at and won't take on. They don't want to. Every blue is going to get distracted. Understand it. It's okay. You can always bring back the focus, but they are going to bring life to the group. They bring an energy that is undeniable. Every green is going to overanalyze things. But you know what? They're going to find a way to systemize. They're going to find a way to create something that functions well toward an end goal. Every yellow is going to be intimidated at some point in time, but they're going to add heart to the team. So when you realize these aspects, these attributes that they bring, you realize that you want all four colors in your team because those are covering four different aspects that you wouldn't otherwise have. So each color's strengths help to offset another's weakness. That's why I named the book Full Spectrum Success, because I believe that in communication, whether it's just with other individuals or as a team, when you find that well balanced point, that's when you're going to have the most success. It's not going to be perfect every day, just like your family life is not going to be perfect every day. But the better you are at communication and the more that you understand the personalities of those involved in the communication on a day to day basis, the better success you're going to have. So, the reason it matters, the goal of a team leader is not to patronize or pursue any one color just because we happen to understand it better than other colors. It doesn't mean that we pursue it. We help everyone within our team reach their highest potential and the truest shade of their personality color. And that is where the selflessness comes in. The more that you do that, the more success you'll see. So understanding the colors, pardon me, colors and questions helps leaders identify strengths and weaknesses within their team. You would never send somebody who's weak in an area that you know that they're weak in out to do that. You would send them to do their strength because that's what they're strong at. That's where they're going to get the most success. So when you're a leader, understanding that is incredibly important. But this also helps team members identify their role or niche within the group. If they're great at logistical stuff, they're an awesome green. They will learn how to systemize things for your team that you never would have thought of. And if they're yellows, they're going to be there volunteering, setting up tables, wanting to make sure that nobody was left out or didn't get a handshake or didn't get a hug when they came into that meeting. And understanding their strengths and their weaknesses gives you that ability to put them in that role or niche where they're going to be their best. It promotes a give and take mentality with conversation because you understand you have to actually listen in order to hear their color. And then they'll have to listen in order for you to deliver what you're trying to say to them. It supports an individual's confidence in stepping out of their own comfort color to help others from their own color. And that is super. When you get to the point where you're confident enough in yourself and in your color and in your ability that you can step outside of that and reach into somebody else's life in their color to help them, that's an awesome moment. So, team mechanics is Um, it's a phrase that I use to talk about the ability of any team to communicate and function together toward goals that are larger than any one individual can accomplish. And that's all of us. I don't care whether it's a church or whether it's a family or whether it's a network marketing company or in any aspect of life. We're all about achieving things larger than ourselves. So that makes this incredibly important to put into place and to understand. And it does require inspiration from all colors. So the way that these different colors inspire, I call reds the achievers. Their inspiration is through leadership, it's through doing something. That's how they love to inspire, and that's how they are inspired by somebody else doing. Blues are the motivators. Their inspiration is through charisma. They can call somebody out of their comfort zone and straight into the fun zone, but be more effective that way. Greens, I call the strategist. They are inspiration through planning. And yellows are the encourager, inspiration through teamwork. So the reason that I bring these about is because this is something that, this is their niche and their role. And if you know where to fit them, they're going to be happiest fulfilling these strengths. So when you're talking to somebody and they're talking about their pursuits, That's another way to kind of get zeroed in on their color, on their personality color. If they're talking about a goal or an object that they're after, they're probably a red. And a lot of people confuse reds with just being money hungry. The actual truth is money for a lot of reds isn't the end all be all. It's simply the vehicle to get them to that goal or object that they really have in mind. It could be a nicer house, it could be a vacation every month with their family. That's their what. But the money is their how. The money is how they get it. So a lot of people say, wow, reds are all about the money. No, not necessarily. Reds are about the vehicle that will take them to their goal or their object. If they're after a purpose or fun, you're probably dealing with a blue. Those individuals have got to have a reason to do anything, and if the reason is good enough, they'll try it. Even jumping out of perfectly good airplanes, they will still do it, just because the reason is enough. A method or a plan, if that's what they're after, you're probably dealing with a green. They want structure. They want logic. If they're after a team or helping others or others helping them, you're probably dealing with a yellow. That teamwork is where it's at for them. So that's how to judge somebody, or not judge, but how to kind of identify some of the different pursuits that you might find within your group. My next slide is one that I actually developed when I speak with Dr. Jim Bob. We usually switch off right here. Dr. Jim Bob Haggerton. If you don't know who he is and you don't follow him, find out who he is and follow him because he's amazing. But this just is a brief description of the difference between left brain and right brain. Left brain is your reds and greens, right brain is your blues and yellows. That's creative side versus logic side. So I won't go into all that, but I will put up this graphic, and I want to make sure that this graphic loads. So I am going to, I know some of our slides are probably slower loading, but I want, this one's very important for you guys to see. So give me just a second, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to renew this screen share and make sure that you guys get to see this. So this graphic I came up with because there are a lot of different tests out there, from the original Greek humors test, all the way to your beaver, otter, lion, retriever. Um, what I did is try to put as many together, and I realized there's some that aren't included in this, but this will give you guys a pretty good idea, everything from the disc method all the way through the colors, what you're looking at based on each personality type. And the type fits really well into this square grid because you can see how they blend between them a little bit with each of them. So grab a screenshot of that if you'd like to, but I can also post this in the Facebook group, this graphic, so that you guys can take a look at it later and and brush up on that. But we're going to talk real briefly, and I'm almost done here. I appreciate you guys staying with me this entire time. We're going to talk about a true team. The key to building a true team is learning and teaching the art of listening, not just hearing the words spoken, listening for the reason the question is being asked or the statement is being made. Really tuning in to that master key filter that is in everybody, their personality type filter. When you can understand the reason behind the question and the way it's phrased, you're going to be able to answer it accurately, which is going to eliminate a lot of friction in your communication. I'm going to touch briefly on presentation because I think it's important, especially in our line of work. In network marketing, the goal of a presentation is to connect with as many individuals as possible. And when you enter a room and you're speaking before multiple people, or maybe it's just 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. You don't know off the top of your head what each color may be. Or maybe you do in a small setting, but in a large setting, how do you answer each and every one of the colors most effectively? I believe it can be done by presenting in a specific order, and the order is everything. It's the reason that I put my presentation in specific order, and it's been a very, very effective tool for my team. And that presentation order is to answer what is it first, because which master key question is that? That's your reds. Reds have the least patience. They will not wait around as long as some of the other colors. So answer. That's okay. I'm okay with it being on the graphics slide right now. But presentation order by color is in the same order of the colors that you're seeing that I presented today. What is it for the reds? Answer the reds first. They have the least patience. Why do I care? That's your blues. Blues tend to get bored quickly. You start seeing people doodling their their blues, and you gotta get them back into why they need to commit and care about what you're talking. How does it work? This is your greens. They will wait around longer than your reds and the blues because they're analyzing everything that you're talking about and they're deciding if it applies to them. Last, end it with who. Who is it for? Yellows have the most patience. They don't want to offend. They'll wait the longest. So end it with who, but not just because they're the most patient, because by using this, you're actually giving yourself the most closing and referral material to end with. Who can they help with it? Who will be there to support them? Who do they know that could also benefit from it? All of these are such amazing ways to end a presentation because it gets them thinking about sharing with others. That's why you want to end with yellows, not just to abuse their patience level, to make sure that they are carrying this forward to others. So I always like to challenge people, imagine the possible conversations that you can have with these four questions: the what, why, how, and who. There's so much mileage you can get out of these. I mean, what do you want out of life? Why do you want it? How are you going about getting it? Who are you making the journey with? Those are just some simple examples that you can get out of it. So, in conclusion, I want you guys to understand communication is one of the most precious gifts that we were given, that's given to mankind. And every single conversation that you have is a chance to experience full spectrum success as you rise to a better level of communication. So, out of those questions, what, why, when, where, who, how, there are two that remain that we haven't talked about that are not tied to any particular color. And those are where and when. And those can only be answered by you. But I would urge you to begin today and begin now, improving your communication and improving your life. So I appreciate you guys allowing me to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and update this slide real fast. Hopefully you guys got that graphic. I don't know if it's changed for you, but it doesn't look like it's changed for me. So I am going to just do this real quick and share this. This is my website. It's www.jacobadamo.com. It has a copy of the colors test on there, so you can share that with your friends, find out what color they are, find out what color you are, and then I urge you to get on Facebook, join the group, and join the conversation as we talk about bettering communication among the personality types. Thank you so much for letting me hang out with you guys, and thank you so much for your patience throughout this. And I look forward to answering some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this broadcast, turn it over to Kari on Facebook. That will be your next stop, is back to the Happy Hangouts, I'm sure. Happy Hangout, and I will see you there. Thanks, and God bless.